The clock struck 3 a.m. in Montecito. While the neighborhood slept, something extraordinary was happening behind the iron gates of one of California's most exclusive estates. Unmarked commercial trucks rolled through the service entrance, their engines rumbling through the darkness. This wasn't your typical celebrity move. This was something else entirely, something desperate. By sunrise, the impossible had happened. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex had disappeared. Not on vacation, not on a royal tour. They had vanished. And the home they fought so hard to keep, the symbol of their independence and their American dream, now sits completely empty. What forced them out in the middle of the night? The answer is more devastating than anyone imagined. Multiple catastrophic failures hit them simultaneously. An insurance company pulled the plug. A streaming giant demanded millions back. A brother turned his back. And a billionaire godfather walked away. This is the story of how a prince lost his palace, and why the people he trusted most refused to save him. While those trucks loaded belongings under the cover of darkness in California, the decision that sealed their fate had already been made 5,000 miles away in London. Behind closed doors, in a meeting that will never appear on any official record, two brothers faced each other. But this time, it wasn't about family. It was about money. And one of them had the power to end it all. Prince William inherited something extraordinary in 2022. The Duchy of Cornwall. It's not just a title. It's a business empire worth over $1.2 billion. Farms, properties, investments, all managed with ruthless efficiency. And when Harry came calling, desperate for help, William didn't see his younger brother. He saw a bad investment. Harry needed a bridge loan, just enough to keep the walls from closing in. What he got instead was something far worse. An audit. William pulled up the financial records. He had access to tools that most people never see. Proprietary software that rates investments on a color-coded system. Green means safe. Yellow means caution. Red means danger. When he entered the details of Harry's Montecito estate, the screen didn't flicker. It blazed red. Not just a warning, an alarm. Let's talk about what William discovered. Because these numbers explain everything. The property taxes alone are $250,000 every single year. Then there's security. Without the protection of the crown, Harry had to hire private armed guards. The cost? Anywhere from $300,000 to over $1 million annually. Insurance premiums were running another $185,000 before they got canceled. And maintaining 7 acres of gardens in a drought state? Another $120,000 for utilities and groundskeeping. Add it all together, and you're looking at nearly $2 million a year just to keep the lights on. That doesn't include a single mortgage payment. That's pure operational burn. William looked at those figures and said something that cut deeper than any public statement ever could. He called it a liability with a driveway, not a home, not an investment. A money pit dressed up in stucco and rose gardens. Harry tried everything. He appealed to family loyalty. He argued that his bankruptcy would embarrass the crown, but William had an answer for that too. The Duchy of Cornwall operates under a charter that's been in place since the 1400s. It funds public works. It supports the heir to the throne. It does not bail out private citizens who made bad choices. Lending Harry millions wouldn't just violate policy, it would trigger a parliamentary inquiry. The meeting ended with a directive that shattered whatever hope Harry had left. Sell the house, now. The Bank of Brother never even opened. But as crushing as William's refusal was, it wasn't the final blow. That came from somewhere Harry never expected. And it arrived not with a phone call, but with a piece of paper. Tuesday morning, 10:30, a courier arrived at the service entrance. He was handing over a certified letter. And the moment that envelope was signed for, the countdown began. The letter was from their homeowner's insurance company, State Shield, California. Your policy will not be renewed. Coverage ends Friday at midnight. The reason? Wildfire risk reassessment. For anyone unfamiliar with what's happening in California right now, this might sound like a bureaucratic headache. It's not. It's a crisis. Insurance companies are fleeing the state in droves. The wildfires have become too expensive, too unpredictable. And Montecito, with its dense vegetation and steep canyon walls, is now classified as a red zone. High risk, uninsurable by traditional carriers. Here's where everything falls apart. Losing insurance might seem fixable, but not when you have a mortgage. And especially not when that mortgage has what's called a hazard insurance clause. This clause exists in almost every high-value home loan. It's protection for the bank. If the property isn't insured, the bank's collateral is exposed. And the moment that insurance lapses, even for a single day, the loan automatically enters technical default. It doesn't matter if you've never missed a payment. The second the house is uninsured, the lender can start foreclosure proceedings immediately. This is the trap Harry walked into. He bought a palace in paradise without understanding the ground beneath it. Banks don't care about titles. They care about collateral. And uninsured collateral is worthless. Harry had 72 hours to solve an impossible problem. He could find a specialty insurer, but that would cost hundreds of thousands up front, money he didn't have. Or he could pay off the entire mortgage, all $9.5 million, immediately. He couldn't do either, and that's why those trucks showed up at 3 in the morning. They were racing against a deadline. If they didn't get out before that insurance expired, the bank could legally lock the doors. The technical default clause was a gun to his head, but surely, with all his Hollywood connections, someone would step in. After all, Harry and Meghan had signed one of the biggest deals in streaming history, $100 million with Netflix. That money could save them, right? Wrong. Just as the insurance clock ticked toward midnight, another notification arrived. From Netflix headquarters in Los Angeles. And it wasn't friendly. It was a legal demand. Netflix was activating what's known as a clawback provision. They wanted their money back. $20 million. Now. Most people don't understand how these mega deals work. When you see a headline about a $100 million contract, that money isn't just handed over. It's an advance. A loan against future work. The deal is straightforward. We give you millions now. You deliver hit content later. But here's the problem. It's been nearly 4 years since that contract was signed. And what has Netflix gotten in return? A documentary series that generated buzz but divided audiences. And after that? Silence. The animated series Pearl was canceled before it launched. Scripted dramas were pitched and rejected. The production pipeline is essentially empty. Netflix executives are calling it a low-yield celebrity vanity deal. They're cutting their losses, and when a corporation that size decides to collect a debt, they file a legal claim. They allege breach of contract, and they demand repayment. The notification cited non-fulfillment of contract deliverables. In plain English, you didn't give us what you promised. Now give us back the money. This wasn't just a financial blow, it was career-ending. The moment that clawback notice went public, every other studio in Hollywood took a step back. You can't secure a new deal when you're being sued for failing to deliver on the old one. Meghan reportedly made frantic calls to her agents. She needed cash flow. She needed someone to believe in their brand enough to write a check. But the phones were disturbingly quiet. The golden goose hadn't just stopped laying eggs, it had died. Harry and Meghan were staring down a financial abyss. They owed the bank. They owed the insurers. And now they owed their former employer. With no income, no assets, and creditors circling, Harry had one final card to play. One person who had never asked for anything in return. Tyler Perry, the godfather of their daughter. Surely he would answer the call. But when Harry dialed that number, he didn't get the warm voice of a friend. He got the cold calculation of a billionaire. Tyler Perry had been more than generous. When Harry and Meghan fled Canada in 2020, it was Perry who sent his private jet. It was Perry who handed them the keys to an $18 million estate. It was Perry who paid for elite security when the palace stripped theirs away. He didn't ask for repayment, he did it out of compassion. But compassion has limits, especially when it starts to feel like enabling. Perry had watched as Harry and Meghan prioritized image over infrastructure. While he was footing the bill for their safety, they were spending on designer wardrobes, public relations firms, and private jets to events that generated headlines but no revenue. He felt like he was underwriting a lifestyle, not supporting a family in genuine need. When Harry called asking for temporary security or a safe place while he sorted out the insurance disaster, Perry's answer was swift and brutal. The conversation reportedly lasted less than 10 minutes. Perry's financial advisors had warned him. With increasing scrutiny around the Archwell Foundation and whispers about unfiled tax documentation, Continuing to fund Harry and Meghan off the books was becoming a legal liability. If Perry kept writing checks, he risked dragging his studio empire into an IRS audit. So Tyler Perry made a choice: self-preservation over sentiment. And he delivered a line that has since become legendary in Hollywood circles: "I helped you start over. I can't help you stay there." With those words, the final safety net disappeared. The elite Talon security group that had been guarding the estate around the clock was officially pulled off. These weren't regular bodyguards. These were professionals with international intelligence clearance. They were replaced by a local contractor team, standard uniforms, standard training. The Iron Dome vanished overnight. This was the moment Harry truly understood his isolation. His brother refused to help. Netflix wanted their money back. And now Tyler Perry had walked away. The prince had no palace, the couple had no cash, and they were about to become something they never imagined: homeless royalty. With the gates of their Montecito estate closing behind them, Harry and Meghan have entered the strangest chapter of their post-royal lives. Palace insiders have reportedly started calling them the nomadic royals. For the first time in his life, Prince Harry is a man without a home, not a temporary residence between properties. Actually homeless. Luxury homeless, perhaps, but homeless nonetheless. According to financial filings, the couple has no other fixed assets in the continental United States beyond the Montecito estate they just fled. That means their next move isn't a transition to a newly purchased mansion. It's a scramble for temporary shelter. They're living out of suitcases, bouncing from location to location, relying on short-term leases or borrowed villas from wealthy acquaintances. For most people, staying in hotels is just an inconvenience. For Harry and Meghan, who have spent years claiming they're targets of serious threats, this lifestyle is a security nightmare. A private estate can be locked down, perimeters secured, surveillance controlled. But a hotel? A rental property? You're sharing hallways with strangers. Elevators can't be restricted. Security feeds are monitored by building management. And every staff member becomes a potential leak. Every time they check in somewhere, they create a digital footprint. Every meal ordered is logged. In the hospitality industry, discretion is a courtesy, not a guarantee. Staff talk. Guests notice. And it only takes one person with a smartphone to blow their location wide open. Former intelligence advisors have reportedly warned that this movement pattern doesn't just put Harry and Meghan at risk, it endangers their children. So why not just go back to the UK? Why not buy a cheaper house? Because the trap is sealed on all sides. Returning to Britain is reportedly deemed impossible. Frogmore Cottage has been officially repossessed by the Crown. Public sentiment toward them is at an all-time low. And without official royal status, they wouldn't receive taxpayer-funded security. Staying in California is just as toxic. The legal exposure is mounting. Former friends have quietly distanced themselves. The Hollywood elite have moved on. And buying a new property? Not without liquidity. The Netflix clawback has frozen their ability to secure favorable financing. Banks know the income streams are collapsing. The image is stark. The prince, who once had the entire British military at his disposal, is now reportedly sneaking through service entrances of luxury hotels, hoping no one recognizes him. It's not just a financial collapse, it's a total loss of dignity. And when a man loses everything, when every door slams shut, he starts thinking about the one weapon he still has: his story, and more dangerously, everyone else's secrets. Harry still has one card left to play, and it could either save him or destroy what's left of his family forever. When Spare hit bookstores, it shattered records. Fastest-selling nonfiction book in history. Millions of copies, tens of millions in royalties. It was a financial lifeline, but that money is gone, spent on legal fees, operational costs, and the endless burn rate of a lifestyle they can no longer afford. And now, according to sources close to the publishing world, conversations have already begun about a second book. This wouldn't be a follow-up. It would be a weapon. Publishing executives have reportedly been floated outlines. Working titles are circulating: Spare No One, The Heir's Shadow. Titles that make it clear this isn't about healing. This is about survival. And when survival is on the line, nothing is off limits. Palace insiders are terrified. They fear this second installment will be scorched earth. Private correspondence between William and Catherine. Details of conversations meant to stay behind closed doors. Perhaps even sensitive information about King Charles's health. Things that crossed the line from memoir into betrayal. One royal aide reportedly summarized the fear perfectly. If the first book was a cry for attention, the second will be a cry for money. Harry is in a corner. He has no home, no steady income, no allies willing to write checks. His reputation in Hollywood is shattered. His standing in Britain is toxic. So, what does he do? He monetizes the only asset he has left: information, secrets, pain. But here's the tragedy. A book like that might generate short-term cash. It might pay off some debts, but it will cost him the one thing he can never get back: any chance of reconciliation, any hope of being welcomed back, any possibility that his children will know their grandfather, their uncle, their cousins. He'll be financially solvent and completely alone. This is the ultimate cautionary tale. Prince Harry believed that independence meant walking away from the crown. He thought freedom was about rejecting the institution. But he's learning a brutal lesson. True independence isn't about rejecting support. It's about earning the right to stand on your own. And you can't build that foundation on debt and borrowed time. He traded the monarchy for the marketplace. But the marketplace has no loyalty. It rewards results and punishes failure. Freedom can't be financed with credit cards and advances. And dignity can't be bought by selling out the people who share your blood. The American dream didn't collapse with a dramatic explosion. It ended with a listing agreement, a clawback notice, and a midnight moving truck. So here's the question. Harry's back is against the wall. The debts are piling up. The doors are closing. And he's sitting on a second book that could generate millions, but destroy whatever fragile relationships he has left. What does he do? Is he a survivor doing what he has to do to protect his family? Or is he a traitor willing to sell out his brother, his father, and the institution that gave him everything for a paycheck? Type survivor if you think he has no choice. Type traitor if you believe he's crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. The house may be sold, but the real war is just beginning.